Hey, Colleen, long time no see. So right now, just wanting to confirm that you guys can hear me. Yes, and see me. Thank you, Brooke. Appreciate that. Um, so we are going to go ahead and get started. And as people come on, totally fine. So for anybody who is new to me, and my name is Athena Concannon. I'm the owner and founder of Achieve with Athena. And my brand is a fitness and lifestyle brand really dedicated to helping women step into their most empowered selves. And this bite-sized Fit Talk series is something that I started introducing and doing last month, basically a way to get together and chat about a very timely or seasonal topic. So we covered veggies before Thanksgiving, how to have a veggie full day on Thanksgiving. And then this month, we are covering alcohol and how to navigate the booze at this time of year, because it is coming up on a lot of my client calls and it's coming up in my Empower Together coaching club. And just in general, I think we can all agree that right now there's definitely more booze kind of all around. So hopefully you guys are here because you feel that too. I do want to address that I know that alcohol can be a sensitive subject for some people. So if that's the case, then, I don't want you to feel triggered by anything, and you're, welcome to hop off if that's the case for you. But hopefully you're good if you're here. So Maria, I see your hand up. Want to make sure you don't have a question. So if you have a question, you can just go ahead and type it in the chat box for me, and I'll address it there, okay? So you guys, I know, again, we feel like alcohol is all around this time of year, and I think also in the summer where we're at like pool parties and barbecues, that's when I tend to hear that this is the most challenging time. But the other thing about alcohol at this time of year is that a lot of us might feel like we're extra stressed, we're extra overwhelmed. Maybe we feel like when we're coming home from a long day, we've been out running errands, that we want to turn to a glass of wine as a way to unwind or as a way to relax. Like, that's very common. So we're going to be addressing that too, because if we're feeling also more frazzled during this time of year, then that also can just compound it. So I definitely think that this warrants attention, because alcohol really is a big piece of the fat loss puzzle. And regardless of whether you right now are in a fat loss phase or a maintenance phase, I know a lot of us are doing more of a aim to maintain type of focus right now through the holidays, and then maybe you would revamp up on a fat loss season in the new year. Wherever you are, alcohol plays a big part in whether you are able to lose weight or to maintain that weight loss, okay? So I do also want to say that when I'm giving you these tips, alcohol in and of itself is not a weight loss tool. It's not a weight loss strategy. And so if you're someone that doesn't drink a ton already, or anything like that, don't start drinking more. And these strategies might not necessarily apply for you. So these strategies are for those of us who do choose to drink, and it's how we can use it in a way that we're not depriving ourselves from having a drink with friends or enjoying ourselves at a party, but it's in a way that we're not going overboard either. Okay, so I did want to address that. So let's start first with 3 reasons why alcohol in and of itself can potentially sabotage our weight loss or our maintenance efforts. Okay, so number 1, it's calorie dense. We all know that, but sometimes I think we forget about it. We can be so focused on tracking our food or focusing on what we eat that we don't necessarily think about the calories that add up in our cocktails or our beer or whatever we're drinking, right? So having those drinks can easily push us over our calorie count, say, for the day, or our calorie budget. And, in my coaching style, my coaching groups, we don't necessarily focus all that much on calories in and of themselves. We don't count calories, track calories, but they do matter. At the end of the day, if we're trying to lose weight, we do need to be in that calorie deficit. So if we are having cocktails that are like hundreds and hundreds of calories, you know, that's really going to be adding up. Okay. And so again, we need to burn more calories than we're taking in if we are working on fat loss. Because, you know, that alcohol is so calorically dense, just one mixed drink sometimes, depending on what that is, can push us over that budget. So does that make sense, you guys? The number 2 reason why alcohol can interfere with our fat loss or maintenance efforts is that it really can lower our inhibition around food. And so I want to know, you guys type into the chat box for me if you feel like you can relate to this at all. Like maybe you have a threshold where you can still make mindful food decisions, say at 1 to 2 glasses of wine, but once you have maybe that third, it's like all mindful eating strategies are out the window. So I want to know if anybody can relate to that. You could type that into the chat box for me. Hey, Sharon, I just saw you hopped on. I'll give you guys a second. Colleen, definitely the third drink. Yeah, same. So, you know, you might be able to remember to have water. We're going to talk about that in between your drinks. You might be able, like if you're having that second glass of wine, to like stop and think about, okay, do I actually want these nachos or something like that? And once you hit that third drink, it can be like, oh, forget it. Who's even thinking about these things in the first place? So yeah, I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Thank you, Colleen. So really being mindful of what that threshold is for you. And once that happens, not only are you getting those calories from the drinks, but now you're getting all those extra calories from probably the not so nutritious food decisions that you're making. And now they're really adding up. Like you might be into thousands of extra calories at this point. Okay. And then the number 3 reason that alcohol can really interfere with our efforts is that the calories from alcohol, they take priority in our bodies as fuel over other fuel sources. So what does that mean? Say you have 2 beers with dinner, or say you have 2 cocktails at a party. Your body is going to stop burning the other calories that you've consumed or that you're consuming in the form of protein, carbs, and fat until the calories from the alcoholic beverages are burned off. So that can definitely stall things or stop things altogether moving, okay, in the right direction. So I wanted to set the stage of, you know, kind of where this could be interfering with your efforts first, but it doesn't mean that we can't necessarily enjoy or have our favorite festive cocktails at this time of year or glasses of wine with dinner or any of that. It's not about restricting ourselves. It's not about putting it off limits, because anytime we do that with food or with alcohol, it backfires. So like anything else, this needs moderation and it needs actual effective strategies. So when we're talking about moderation, you guys, it doesn't necessarily mean having just, you know, it doesn't mean having a drink every night or 2 drinks every night, like that kind of thing. I think a lot of times moderation gets a little confusing. People might use it as a way to be like, oh, moderation. And really it's not a moderate amount. So I want to make sure that we're being realistic about what moderation actually is. With my clients whose goal it is to lose fat, 1 to 3 drinks, maybe 4 tends to be, you know, per week, what we aim for. I think 2 to 3 tends to be that magical mark. And of course, you know, when you're in a maintenance mode, that can go up a little bit. So maybe right now it could be a little higher than that, and that's fine. But as we get into these strategies, I really want you to think about what over the whole course of the week. Okay. So that is strategy number 1. Let's look at the whole week as a puzzle. And what I usually encourage you guys to do is think about what you have coming up. So for example, if you know that you have a holiday party on Saturday night and you know that it's going to be a holiday party where you're not going to just have one drink and you want to not even really worry about that much, like that's going to be your night, like then the rest of the week, it kind of, that dictates maybe you're not having as much on a weekday, or maybe you're not drinking on Friday because you're saving up, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, for your Saturday night. Or maybe you went out on Tuesday. I'll use me and Lauren. We went out last night and, had 2 cocktails. So that is going to be something that I kind of keep in mind as I'm navigating my weekend, is that I did have 2 glasses of wine last night. And so maybe at one of the holiday parties I have this weekend, I won't go and have, a ton more. So I'll kind of spread it out over the course of the week. And doing that can help you feel like, okay, when is it going to be a priority to me? When is it, going to be worth it or not? And you might decide, like, even if you feel like having a glass of wine at home on Thursday, you're like, you know what? Maybe it's actually not that important. Lauren, no more vodka for me this week. That's funny. I'm glad I stuck to wine. So again, looking at your week as a whole to just become a little bit more mindful and just putting a little bit more thought into it. It's kind of like planning out your workouts. Like when are you going to have your cardio days? When are you going to do your strength workouts? It's kind of like that. And of course you can have flexibility. It doesn't have to be, to a T. Things change. It's not about being so rigid, but it's just about thinking about it ahead of time in and of itself can really help. So that's strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 is water. You probably knew that this one was coming, but something that I always recommend to my clients is to have a full glass of water before you start drinking. So when that happens, you are delaying the alcoholic beverage for a little bit. You're hydrating. Okay. And it's just a way to kind of remind yourself of your goals right from the get-go. Now, the other thing with water is, maybe you've heard the tip to alternate 1 glass of, wine or whatever, one drink to 1 water, 1 drink to 1 water. That helps space it out. Again, keeps you more hydrated, less hangover. And the next day, always a benefit. And again, keeps you mindful and kind of focused. If, that's not possible, you can just start with at least having water with you and kind of taking some sips of the water, sips of the drink. That's fine. Okay. We don't have to go right into the big steps. A lot of people at this, when we talk about this as a tip might say, but I have friends who will, just greet me at the door with the drink ready, or people are buying rounds and I don't want to be the one that's drinking water and all of that. And that's fine. This is really a matter of you being more comfortable. It's simply you becoming more confident in how you're going to approach the night. So nobody can actually force you to have a drink. It's always your choice. So even if people are like peer pressuring you, or giving you that extra glass or whatever it is, that's fine. You can take the glass, but you can still have your water. Maybe you're standing near a table, maybe you're at a bar, whatever. You can put your drink down and you can still accept the drink and have your water. That's fine. If something like that is actually going to hurt somebody's feelings, that is on them. That is not on you. I always joke with my clients that they can just become that person that has to hydrate first. Like sometimes my friends are gonna be like, oh, there's Athena hydrating again. But it doesn't mean that I'm not having fun. It doesn't mean that I'm boring. That is all a story in your head. So you just have to become more confident with just making that choice and trusting that that's what you want to do. You do it in your way. That's a more empowered way. And if you're doing it and you aren't confident about it, then you're definitely going to get called out. And maybe you'll get a couple comments the first few times you do it. But again, you just laugh it off. Oh, I'm just really thirsty. I need to drink this water first. Okay, great. No one's going to really, really care about that. If people are buying rounds, you don't have to do it. Or, say I've had people that are like, but then I'm not, spending spend the extra money. It's fine. Or, it doesn't have to be exactly even and all of that. Or if someone buys it for you, again, you can just put it down. I've gone into the bathroom and dumped out a drink before, I'm not going to lie. Or just put it back on the bar, or you just nurse the crap out of it. Okay, all of those are options depending on how comfortable you are with the situation that you're in. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Any scenarios that you have been in where you feel uncomfortable? I'd love to know if you do. The other thing is that some of my clients will also feel like they don't want to ruin someone else's time, or feel like if they're not drinking, then someone else isn't going to have fun. And that, again, is another story too. Like, that is just something that you have to just remind yourself, if someone's going to not like you because of that, that's probably a problem, right? It's probably a problem. All right, so if we have no questions or comments on that, we're going to move on to strategy number 4, which is about how to eat when you know that alcohol is going to be on the agenda. So you want to make sure that you are prioritizing your protein and your veggies basically all day long, ahead of time. So, you need to modify your food choices, right, to allow for those calories and alcohol, especially if you're going to be having multiple drinks later on. So what does that mean? You want to cut back a little bit on your starches and your fat. We just can't have it all when we're working on that fat loss or that maintenance goal. You have to adjust. So this is, one of those things where I think sometimes we still fall into that, maybe a college mentality where we're like, I have to get a nice bread base to prepare to go out. And that's really not the case anymore. We don't really need to do that. So if you are someone who normally, say, has 3 to 4 starch servings during your day, I just want you to scale that back a little bit to allow for some wiggle room on the back end. And then when you're out, this is a matter of having to prioritize. So again, we can't have it all. I mean, we can. You certainly can. That's your choice. But then you can't complain on the backside that you are having, trouble losing weight, or your pants don't fit and all of that. So let me rephrase. You absolutely certainly can. But it just is a matter of what is your priority. So if you do want to have a drink, like maybe you're not having as much bread, maybe you're not going for that dessert, maybe you're not going for the starchy side or appetizer, so that you can have the drinks instead. And it's, again, a matter of prioritizing, okay? Strategy number 5 is to make sure what you're drinking is actually worth it. So are you out and it's like a crappy beer and you don't even like it and you're drinking it? What is the point? Wouldn't you much rather have a delicious cookie or a dessert or something else that's actually worth it? An example I can give you guys is I was at an event once, or it was pretty recent, and they had like Bud Light, Coors Light for beer. And like, I'm sorry, if I'm having a beer, it's going to be a craft beer. I don't really want a Bud Light. That to me is never worth it. For you, it might be, but for me, it's not. So I would rather have water than a Bud Light. And the wine selection, they only had Chardonnay for white. I'm not a big Chardonnay fan. And it was like super hot. It was a super hot day, like toward the end of September or something. And I was like, I don't really want red wine. It's hot. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have seltzer. It sounds way better to me today. It was like refreshing and tasted good, and it wasn't something I didn't like. So you want to make sure that it's worth it. Colleen is saying life is too short for crappy beer. And I agree. I agree with that. That should be our motto, right? But you can apply that. Maybe you're at a party and the signature drink is something that is like super sugary. You don't even like it. It's too sweet. Or maybe it uses a type of alcohol that you don't normally drink, that you don't really like a bourbon or something. I'm just making this up as I go, what the examples are, but you can apply that to you. yes, maybe your host made a nice signature drink, but you don't have to drink it. Other people will, and that'll be just fine. Okay. Or again, yeah, sure, I'll have it, and maybe have a couple sips and put it away. So making sure that what you're drinking is actually worth it to you. Tip number 6 is to keep the drinks lower calorie. So I definitely would recommend staying away as much as possible from the pre-mixed juices, any sort of like mixers that are just loaded with sugar, because that combination of that sugar and the alcohol is your body storing fat like crazy. It just is. Opt for some 0-calorie mixers. Club soda, often, a choice for me, for sure. You can add things like lemons and limes for flavor. Get things that use like the real stuff rather than that sour mix that's disgusting, right? And also try and remember what actual servings are. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but an actual serving of wine is 4 ounces. So that is one, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I sometimes will forget. that is an actual serving. But if you're trying to keep your beverages, again, lower calorie, this is the way to go. Or, maybe that you really like, a margarita or sugary margarita, like that's fine, but maybe you have one and then you switch to something a little more low cal too. Okay. So again, I'm not here tonight to like preach to you guys or anything. I just want to give you some effective strategies. Even if just one thing resonates with you tonight that you try and it's effective for you, that will make me happy. Lauren's saying so sad. Yeah, it is sad. I don't know why that's a thing, right? Okay. So the last strategy that I have for you guys, strategy 7, this is more what I was talking about in terms of maybe you're not out at a party or a bar or an event or a restaurant, but you are at home and it's at night and you're like, do I really want this? That's what I want you to ask yourself. If you have a habit of reaching for that glass of wine or making yourself a drink at home, again, even if it's just one, that is something that sometimes we actually want it. We want the routine of it or the habit of it, or it just becomes something that we do and we don't actually think about the drink itself. So just stopping to ask yourself, do I actually want this tonight? Or is it something that I'm doing because I always do it? Is it something that you're doing because you're stressed? Is there something else you can do to manage that stress instead of drink the glass of wine? Because if you're stressed about something, is having the wine actually going to help overcome what you're stressed about? You probably are still going to have to deal with that situation. Or if you're sad about something or anything like that. On the flip side, a lot of people will have the glass of wine if they feel like, oh, I really deserve this after like a long day, or I've been running around. I need this. It's a reward. And same concept, you guys, you don't need to reward yourself with food or drink. That's kind of what we do with animals. We reward them with a treat. So we don't need to be rewarded with a treat. If you feel like you've had a long day, you can reward yourself with an early bedtime or a bubble bath or just some quiet time. You don't necessarily have to opt for that drink. Colleen is saying, I love the routine of the glass of wine. Wind down from a day. Love it. You just started pouring some seltzer in a wine glass. It literally has the same effect. Yeah. And, Colleen, I think some other girls in our group have done that too. The seltzer in the wine glass, I think Kelsey was putting blueberries in there the other day to make herself feel fancy. And she's like, I love this. It's fine. Vanessa, hello, is saying that she's also done that and agrees. And then Maria, I enjoy a glass of wine while I'm making dinner, but it can morph into a fill up after dinner too. Yeah. So for you, Maria, what you might want to do is maybe try the seltzer while you're making dinner, see if that's okay. And then after dinner, you can really ask yourself, do I still want that wine? That might be a good one for you, for sure. And yeah, Sharon, seltzer in a wine glass is a great idea. Yeah. get a fun glass, fun cup, whatever you want. Make yourself feel fancy. I want to see everyone's seltzer in a wine glass on Instagram this week. You guys can tag me. We'll make it a thing. Okay. So again, thinking about at home, why you're actually going for that drink. And, you know, maybe if you're really stressed or overwhelmed, maybe just getting a journal out and doing like a brain dump or writing for 2 minutes even while you're stressed out can help. And maybe you don't even really need the wine anymore. Same strategies can apply if you are someone that goes for the crackers or the candy if you're stressed. Same strategy and really the same concept. So again, at the end of the day, it's your choice. So I always will say to my clients, if you want to go ahead and have it, I'm not going to stop you, but then we can't be upset if our clothes aren't fitting any better or we don't see the weight coming off or our clothes are getting tighter. Again, whatever your goal is at that moment. Maria is suggesting to add some fruit to the seltzer. You like raspberries or citrus? Yeah, I love the idea of citrus for sure. Good suggestion. You guys could also do a mocktail. You know, I said I wouldn't give that tip, but you can, especially if it's more of that that at home, like needing to kind of fill that void or that wind down routine. You might not necessarily want to do a mocktail in a social setting. That's fine, but you can. That is definitely an option. Does anyone have any questions? We're getting right to 8 o'clock, so I'm proud of myself for staying on time with my 30 minutes or less. These little fit talks are like a test for me to keep it short and sweet. We all know I can ramble on, right? So after this, you guys, keep an eye on your inbox. Tomorrow morning, you will receive the PDF, the cheat sheet that will have all the 7 strategies that we talked about outlined for you. It'll also kind of go over those 3 reasons why alcohol doesn't necessarily help our goals at all. And then I'm going to be sharing 4 festive cocktail recipes with you guys. You know, I use the word recipe loosely. You can obviously tweak them, but I'm going to be sharing a rosemary pear sparkler. What else do I have? A pomegranate mojito and a sparkling vodka cranberry. So I got a few different flavor profiles for you. If anyone has any requests, I'm happy to test it out for you guys and come up with one. That would be fine. But again, you'll get that cheat sheet. So if you are on right now and you joined just via the Zoom link and you never really signed up for my email ahead of time, you'll want to make sure that you do that so that you are on my list. If you don't get the email tomorrow for some reason, just reach out to me and I'll make sure that you get it and that you're on the notifications for next time. Okay. Candace, hi. The pomegranate one. Yes, you will like that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on tonight. I really appreciate it. Again, I hope that you got something out of this, or at least a nice refresher before you're heading into maybe some holiday things this weekend. And I will let you guys know what our January one is going to be coming up. Okay. So if you have any requests for the next topic, I also take those. Have a great night, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.